Well, all right, you ignorant pigs, put down your crack pipes and your beer bongs and lock in. It's time to talk about Helen of Troy. I guess Christopher Nolan is casting a movie called The Odyssey, and he's casting a black woman named Lupita Nyong'o to play Helen of Troy. Now, I thought I would give a little historical context for Helen of Troy first. I'm getting this from Herodotus, the histories, and the rest is coming from Paul Cartledge, The Spartans. And let's just put this in a little bit of perspective, okay? Helen is said to be the daughter of Zeus. Her beauty is unsurpassed, and she's also the sister of Clytemnestra, always depicted on figure-ware pottery as a Caucasian female. All right? Helen is also a vegetation and fertility goddess, so there are essentially two Helens. The second Helen, the Helen of the Iliad, has a cult following in Sparta near Therapene. In Therapene, she has a shrine, and couples will bring their baby daughters to the shrine, lay them on the shrine of Helen of Troy to pray the ugliness away. That is what you do at the shrine of Helen of Troy. Helen of Troy was also described by Sappho of Lesbos to be fair-skinned and golden hair. Now, you have to understand something about Greek religion. Yes, the Greeks did believe their myths. Yes, there was a Trojan War. It was a series of conflicts fought from the 1600s down to the 1100s, right down to, because once you get to about 1000 BC, you're entering Archaic Age, Greece and everything, and they're starting to rediscover things like writing and ironwork again, and you've already had the invasion of the Sea Peoples and everything like that. But they were coming out of a dark age. They were coming out of the Bronze Age, going into the Iron Age by that time frame. You get into Gorgo, the wife of Leonidas, as a baby. She was also brought to the shrine of Helen, laid there by King Cleomenes I to pray the ugliness away. All right. Why would any Greek worship a non-Greek looking woman blacker than my cell phone? I don't know. Spartan women had a reputation for being very beautiful. There was a combination of things that would contribute to this. One combination is proper diet. Back then, you had to walk everywhere you went, so you're getting plenty of exercise. Let's look at the food. Fresh root vegetables, meat, and if you were lucky, you had some carbohydrates that day from a grain kind of cake that you might make, and it had some honey on it, and it was good, and that was a special treat for a special day because there was a festival. Carbohydrates, like good one, like the ones that we're accustomed to, almost non-existent, and the women in Sparta were also expected to attend the gym. Foxy boxing in Sparta was also a huge tourist attraction. Oh, I'm a merchant. I'm coming through, and I'm buying X amount of swords from the Spartans themselves, because that was one export that they did have. They would make weaponry, and they made better weaponry than most city-states. And in exchange, I'm dropping off housewares. Stuff that people need, not cushions, but things that you need around the house in order for your slaves to do the work in Sparta, okay? Whatever. I'm dropping off grapple garments, and I'm picking up like 700 swords, and I'm taking them over there to Arcadia. And they're going to use the swords in Arcadia. Okay, there you go. That's what I was doing. But while I was there, before nightfall, I took in a foxy boxing match. And then after that, they said, hey, the road north leads out of Sparta. Be on it by sundown or face the consequences, because they were forever wary of foreigners out there. But this is just a slap in the face to white people, okay? That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's becoming so abhorrent in our entertainment these days, like the race swapping of Ariel and the Little Mermaid. Anytime there's a ginger, you notice they've been making them black. And before you know it, you get to the point where they say that Hispanic kid was always Spider-Man. And they go, Peter Parker? No, that Hispanic kid was always Spider-Man. I don't know of any Peter Parker. They're doing that. It's a very slow disintegration of our culture, disintegration of our literature, our media, and it's being done in a very, very I'm going to say reminiscent of the Nazis' way. Okay, but I got a top 10 list here of how I feel about a black Helen of Troy. They find the ugliest Brillo-headed African woman that makes Grace Jones look hot by comparison. Number 2, you went to Helen of Troy's shrine to pray away the ugliness, not accept it. Number 3, what we need here in America is a shrine dedicated to Burt Reynolds. You lay your bouncing baby boy on the shrine dedicated to Burt Reynolds to pray the gay away. All right. Number 4, no mixed race girls. You couldn't get a girl that looks like Aaliyah, Queen Asuka of the Damned. You couldn't get a girl that looks like Tyra Banks before her facial surgeries. You couldn't get somebody like that. If you put a girl that looks like Aaliyah in, Aaliyah, way prettier than Tyra Banks on her best day, nobody would have said shit if the woman was mildly attractive. But I don't know about this Lupita Nyong'o. No, Lupita Nyong'o sounds like a Mexican dish. I say we put her on a plate, ship her down to Tijuana, see if the Mexicans will eat her. All right, 5. Instead, Hollywood reached into the toilet and they gave us Lupita Nyong'o, okay? Number 6, look at this picture. All you have to do is add some mud huts, flies, and some starving kids, and behold, Helen of Congo Bongo. And for 17 cents a day, you too can support a starving family in Congo Bongo and watch them flourish from a starving family of 2 to 4 to a starving family of 8, then on to a global fucking majority, then on to being a global scourge, and then on to the propaganda saying, well, migration is good for everybody. Just add for the 1% to that statement. Yes, it's good when the Waldens can bring in a bunch of Africans to stack boxes at Walmart for $12 an hour. Meanwhile, they're only making $12 an hour, which means they qualify for welfare. And it's really easy to work for $12 an hour when you're getting your food paid for by food stamps, you're getting a kidney car courtesy of some charitable institution or the government themselves, because they buy a lot of cars and they sell a lot of cars and they give a lot of cars out, and then you're not paying rent because you can't afford to pay rent on $12 an hour. Yeah, it's a good deal for everybody that we have to take our money and wipe the asses of these people, even though they're a global frickin' majority. And I'm being told that they're a marginalized group, and they're a very small marginalized group, which is bullshit, by the way. Okay, number 7. The problem with Hollywood is they see a white person and they want it painted black. No colors anymore. We want her painted black. All right, and number 8, the anti-white rhetoric is being normalized across the West. You do watch, everything is turning into that episode of Love Thy Neighbor where he runs into that Pakistani dude and he's like, oh no, I have opened up this shop to cater to the masses. Oh, last week, 28 Pakistani families moved in. How many houses were sold? Only 2. And this is the best part. That goes back into what I said earlier. They bring these people here, they give them free rent, courtesy of me, the taxpayer. They stack boxes at Walmart. Walmart's happy because they don't have to pay a living wage. I mean, you talk about a company that's gotten out of having to pay a living wage. You look at Amazon and Walmart. There are a lot of people who work at Amazon. I'm sure you can move up at Amazon, but at one point I heard you didn't even need to interview at Amazon. All you had to do was show up and watch an orientation video. Yeah, that sounds real freaking safe. Number 9. Can we at least trade Lupita Nyong'o for Sydney Sweeney? Don't we think that looks like a face that could actually launch 1,000 ships? I mean, I would at least partake on an... Let's say I was a Homeric hero. And, I'm sitting next to my friends in the fratry, because that's how it was in ancient Greece. Clan by clan, man by man, fratry by fratry, clack, clack, brackety brack, which is one thing that they would actually say as they go towards the enemy in a phalanx, or eleleu. And these were men who would sit next to each other. They would dine with one another. So there was a fratry that you would join if you weren't in Sparta. You would have to join a common mess if you were in Sparta. And these men, they got to know each other because you're reliant on your neighbor not to drop his fucking shield, okay? And he said, hey, the king's prize trophy wife was stolen from his harem the other day. Who do you think did it? Oh, it was the Trojans. Ah, shit. I guess we're going to war, aren't we? Yeah. And then finally, if you really want to launch 1,000 ships, you get Akatsuka out there, Aka-chan. Those tits actually launch ships. That motivates men to want to fight for something. Like if that were my woman, yes, I would tear a country apart. And if I could, I would rally a massive army, form a beachhead on the island of Japan, even though I don't want to make an enemy out of the Japanese, but I would demand that one girl show up in like a Shuzima Mongol fashion saying, give us the girl or we'll take her. Because I don't think anyone's going to throw a knife at me and go, enough talk. And finally, I looked up Gal Gadot, but she's 40, which means she's older than me. She's older than dirt, and I'm older than dirt. Okay? And then the biggest problem I have are just some of the commentators like Woman of the Library, but the one that got me was Mr. H Reviews. His take on this sucked Donkey Kong dong, okay? He just wouldn't say the quiet part out loud. Okay, Mr. H, here, I'm going to pretend to be you. I'm proper British. I don't like the black Helen of Troy. She's black and ugly and I don't want it. That's all I had to say. I live in Knightsbridge. I've never done anything in my entire life. And then he'll go to jail for that. And that's where this is going. If we as a group of people don't step over the line of demarcation and say that this is deviant and we don't want it, then it gets worse. You end up like the situation you have in the UK where they literally are. It literally is a meme on that game Pathways. Even though we tried to clamp down on people talking to each other about the Muslim problem, about the African migrant problem, about the dirty poop-headed Indians and the Pakistanis that are breeding and infesting our streets, they were still able to talk to one another, and they voted. They voted to get the foreigners kicked out. And then they were able to buy a house that could have gone to 10 Somali migrant men. Okay, and that's what they don't want to happen. Okay? All right, let's just end it on this one. And it's getting to this anti-white rhetoric is getting so bad that even if you're getting mugged on the subway in New York, and you have this Daniel Penny situation, and you defend yourself, or you defend old ladies on a train, you go directly to jail. Okay? So we need to cross the line of demarcation and say, no, Lupita Nyong'o is black and ugly. Get her out of here. Kick that black Helen of Troy off the plane. Get her off the plane. We don't want her. And just give us Skinhead Helen. Can't we all agree that we'd be better off with Skinhead Helen in the role of Helen of Troy? Anyway, that's about all I had for you because I wasn't here on the weekend to do my normal live stream, so I thought I'd talk about this. I do talk about movies from time to time. I'm going to try to see Dracula and maybe do a review of that and finish off my review of Bone Tomahawk, which is written. I just haven't had time to film it. Anyway, if you want to get in touch with me, you can comment down below, and I'll do my best to get in touch with that. If you're watching me on YouTube, the algorithm works thusly. It's an 8-to-1 ratio after 20 likes. For every 1 like I get for every 8 likes I get after 20, the YouTube algorithm will allow me to keep 1 like, unless you leave a comment or watch for a protracted period of time. If you're watching me over on Rumble, thank you for joining me on Alternate Tech. And to that one viewer, this is just a little bit of housekeeping, to that one viewer who did super chat me on Rumble the other Sunday, I appreciate it. I went back through the history and couldn't see the chat. I didn't make my window where I sit small enough, and Rumble doesn't have an option that allows me to do a chargeback and refund your money. So you can still do a chargeback on your end And that's what I've gathered, and that's just a little housekeeping right there. You can always get in touch with me on Instagram if you want to take this conversation further. But until I see you again, keep painting. Don't forget to not see the Odyssey, because I'm sure it'll be really good. I mean, it's not like they're giving you any spank bank material with Helen of Troy there. And stay metal, my friends, and we'll see you in the next one.
Even you, puppy dog. Hey, you need to grow a sack!